Hello, this is John Peterson of RDG Woodwinds, and this is the sixth in a series of oboe adjustment videos. In this video, we'll talk about the secondary adjustments on the top joint. There's not very many of them, it's quite simple. We've already talked about making sure that there's a little bit of lost motion in this key right here, this side triller, so that it doesn't hold open the G sharp. But the operation of that key, if we hold it down, you can see that as we hold it down, it holds both of these G and the A down together for the proper operation of the trill. The screw that adjusts this is this one over here. And again, I'm going to just back it out. And now you can see that as I hold down this key, this one doesn't come down all the way. There's a better view. So I'll just turn it in. Until both of these pads meet the tone holes at the same time. Sometimes people elect to defeat this trill and to use this screw as a pitch adjustment for the B. You can raise the pitch of the B by opening up that arm that lets the B pad stand higher and gives it a brighter sound and a higher pitch. You can do that if you want, but that will defeat the trill on this key. It's your choice. Okay, next we want to look at the B adjustment, also known as the diamond hole adjustment. Normally this key is open only for the high C sharp, and you can use it as a way of tuning the C sharp. Normally it stands fairly closed, maybe about a millimeter and a half open. However, it's not the primary way of tuning the high C sharp. As you remember, we talked about the C to the E adjustment. That is actually the primary thing that you have to make sure is an adjustment in order for the high C sharp not to be way too high. After this is in adjustment, then you can fine-tune it with this one. The next adjustment to talk about is the third octave key. Normally this is set very closed, and in this case you can see that as you depress the third octave key, it actually is touching the first octave key, and that is too high. I normally set this key so it barely cracks open, but the proper adjustment should be determined by the way it plays. Try notes in the third octave and play around with the height until you find something that works both for response and for pitch of those affected notes. Finally, let's talk about the heights of the octave keys. These two screws determine the height that the octave keys come off the octave vents, and you can play around with them a little bit. It can be useful, for example, if your upper octave is high in relation to the lower octave, from say G to C, you can turn these screws in so that the pads don't open quite as much, and you can to some extent lower the upper octave. It doesn't necessarily work in the opposite direction. There's an upper limit to how high the pad can open and still have an effect.